Hey everyone, I don't know what happened with my sound, but I went a whole hour or just about, and apparently my sound wasn't working. So that's not good. So I need to figure out how to do this, and um, I really want to make sure this is working. So embarrassing. Um, I don't know why I can't see myself. So um, I want to definitely make sure that people can see this. And I want to share and make sure that I can hear myself at the same time. So let's see if this is going to work. It is working. Okay. All right. So this time, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to go through it again. Because why? Because I believe in doing what I say I'm going to do. So unfortunately, this is going to start all over again. All right, so I don't know why the first time it wasn't working, but we're here. So, Cathy Pettis, and this is your yoga clinic. Yoga clinics are different, and yes, I'm going to need a lot of water because I thought I had. Isn't that fun when things work out the way they do? All right, so everyone, Cathy Pettis, and now we know that this is working. So we're going to go with it. I am here to go over my first yoga clinic with you. And this is for fellow female activists, and this is dual actions. Okay, so this is the brainchild of Bryony Smith, and totally love Bry. And if anyone's familiar with Alamoose, she is the queen of queuing. She has her own online studio, and it's team aligned, okay, or aligned yoga. And so what this is basically me showing you what I wish I would have known, okay, back when I started my yoga journey back in 2016. This is going to basically make sure that we don't have any issues with our mobility. Okay, we want to increase mobility, and also we want to make sure that we don't induce repetitive injuries. Okay, what we want to make sure is that our mobility is getting stronger for sure. So, what the dual actions are is basically a way to ensure that our mobility, i.e., our joints, are being supported in any movement. And what I'm going to show you applies to functional fitness, not just yoga. When I incorporated this into my just daily, movement practices, whether that was strength training, whether that was swimming, like it doesn't matter. Anything and everything improved because of the dual actions. So this is going to be a really quick dual actions clinic, simply because I did this for an hour and unfortunately it didn't work out. So um, yeah, we're going to get started. And as we always do, if you're familiar with my channel at all, we always start with positive quotient repetitions, PQ reps. Okay, so it's like meditating, you can say, but basically we want to get into our mind and our body. We want them to connect, and this is a perfect way to do it. So, with that said, that's what we're going to do first. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and with ever so calmly, go ahead if you can and close your eyes if you feel safe and if you're able to do so. Then what you're going to do is you're simply going to settle in and notice your breath. You're not going to change your breath. You're just going to notice it. What part of your body is moving? What sensations do you feel? It's all about being able to feel. Now, go ahead and if you're able, with your hearing, listen to the furthest away sound you can hear. Now, listen to the closest sound you can hear. And with that, go ahead wherever you're at, blink open your eyes if they were closed. I hope you feel a little bit more centered. I know I needed that after filming for an hour and not being able to hear myself. So let's go ahead and make sure that you can still hear. Um, it's going to be weird, but I want to make sure it's working. Yay, yay. You probably hear that. Yep. Cool. All right. So now we are actually going to start with the dual action clinic. So again, this is for anyone who's a beginner in yoga. And even if you're not a beginner, this is going to be really useful. So in 2016, I started my yoga journey, and I wish I would have known this again because it would have helped me actually create the shapes that I was so wanting to a lot quicker and a lot safer. All right, so there are 7 of the dual actions. Dual meaning yes, there's 7 dual actions, which means there's 2 actions per set. Okay, so number 1, to waste no time. And again, these are the brainchild. And yes, I'm using notes because they're from my mentor, Bry Smith. All right, so the dual actions, there can be either complementary or opposite in opposition. Okay. In this case, I like to say that this one, the dual actions of your hands, are more complementary. And so I can always check with Bry on that one. So you can see my hands, which is important. All right, so assuming that you can follow along, please do. You can get wherever you feel comfy. But I want to ensure that, excuse me, that you stay safe, okay? So I will also, disclaimer, let you know that I have scoliosis, which means my back has more curves than it should, which means I'm not straight like most people. So what you may see is me looking like I'm not in alignment. It's the best I can do, but I can assure you I'm as much in alignment as possible. So with that, dual action number 1. This is our hands. So anyone who has tried yoga, or maybe you haven't, and that's okay. In yoga, traditional yoga, and I will start at this. I want to give you basics when I can because it makes a difference when you then try the dual actions. So in yoga, traditional yoga, whenever we're on our hands, the middle finger, okay, is facing forward. Okay. Well, for those of us who have tight shoulders like me, that's not comfortable. And I feel like I'm always impinged. So Bry, in all her goddess-like cueing, says, guess what? It's okay. Go ahead and make sure that your index fingers are forward. Well, even still, that is still too tight for some of us. And so Bry, in all her brilliance, said, guess what? It's okay if, in fact, you use the webbing as what's front facing. So you can decide which feels better for you. Middle fingers facing forward. Again, they're flush with each other, right? But they're facing forward, the middle finger, or your index finger facing forward, or like me, your webbing is actually what's forward. And all of them are okay. It does not matter. So also important is that you have your fingers spread out. That is very important. Why? Because you want as much uh, space, right, of your body spread out so that you have more base. All right. So we want our, again, you decide on the figurations of your the figuration. You decide on how spread out your shoulders want to be with your middle, index, or your webbing, and then make sure that your fingers are spread out. So the dual action of your hands. The first one is with those nice spread out fingers, you want to grip the mat with your fingertips. That's important. Now you'll notice that again, my finger knuckles are up, but guess what? The uh, the second action of the dual action is to root your knuckles to the floor, okay? Or what she calls root down through your base knuckles. These are your base knuckles, okay? So by virtue of me using my fingertips as, okay, gripping the mat, and now my knuckles are nice and taut to the floor, guess what? That means that my body is not going to move. Or rather, my fingertips act as brakes, very important, especially like if you're in some type of inversion or arm balance. And by making sure, even though my fingers might be kind of lifted, the base knuckles are making sure that, especially this index one, that guess what? My wrists are protected. I can move in any way, shape, or form, and I am fine. My wonderful wrists are protected. So dual action number one, your hands, and that means that your fingertips are nice and gripping the mat, and they're nice and firm on the mat there, and that your base knuckles are in fact nice and flush on the floor. This is going to make such a difference in any aspect of your life. Maybe you're playing with kids on the floor. Maybe you are trying to pick up or clean up, whatever. Guess what? You have given yourself the gift of sturdiness, the gift of stability. Okay. So, dual action number one, down. All right. So, action number two. Um, Again, they are either opposing, okay, actions or complementary. In my case, I felt that the hands are complementary. Um, I think Bride calls them uh, opposing, but I can check on that for you. So then dual action number two, okay, has to do with our arms. So remember, mobility has to do with protecting our joints. Okay, so joints, we have wrists, we have elbows, we have shoulders, we have hips, okay, knees, and we have ankles, right? So we want to have longevity in our mobility, which means we want our joints to work for as long as possible. And that's for yoga, that's for anything else in our life, right? So dual action number two has to do with our arms, okay? So in this case, we're learning to protect our wrists, our elbows, and our shoulders. So the arms, okay, now remember, not only do I have scoliosis, but I'm hypermobile. So I'm going to look a little strange. I'm going to do my best not to get into hypermobility, but you're going to notice it really quickly right here. So, all right, here we go. So knowing that we have our hands in the dual actions, keep in mind also that usually in yoga, we want to have our wrist underneath our shoulders at any point, okay? And that's again for a bigger base, for a stronger base. So, knowing that our wrists are always under our shoulders, we want to now work on our arms, protecting the elbows, the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders. So, the dual action for your arms is you want to hug your forearms in, okay? And then the opposing action is that you want to externally rotate the upper arms. So this is your forearm and this is your humerus, right? So what we want to do is we want to think about our two forearms trying to come towards each other. Now, again, remember I told you I'm hypermobile, but right now, notice the elbows, the creases on my elbows. They're facing towards you, right? What I want is for them to look towards each other. Why is that? Because when I do that, my shoulders will then be really stable. They'll actually be locked in, and I won't be causing any undue pressure on them. So if all I did though was bring in, okay, my two forearms towards together, what happened to my eyes and my elbows? They went straight towards you. That's not what I want. I want my elbow eyes, as they're called, to go toward each other. Well, how did that happen? because now I'm going to externally rotate. And that sounds really weird, and it's really weird in anatomy. But what you want to feel is this going out like that. So watch what happens. When I'm neutral, this is, well, I want neutrality, but I want, actually, that's a really good way to think about this. Right now, I'm not engaged, but I want neutrality. I want my everything to be nice and straight and protected. So when I bring in my forearms together, hug my forearms together, and then when I think about taking my upper arms out, look what happens. My I am engaged now. Like I am not moving anywhere. And now you'll notice, I'll do it again. This is me relaxed, and then this is me now engaged. My elbow eyes are now facing each other. Okay, this is important. This means that with my dual actions on my hands, again, I am so safe and stable. Nothing is going to hurt me, or rather, my shoulders are nice and protected, my wrist and my elbows. The arms are fabulous, right? This is going to take your arm balances to a new level, okay? And if you're new, that's okay that you don't like arm balances. They're going to come a lot quicker because of this, all right? So dual action number 2, it's all about your arms. And again, it's going to protect the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders. Superb. Okay, so now we are going to go on to number 3, the third dual action. And this one is my favorite. And it's my favorite because with scoliosis, I really worry about my posture. So this one is probably the most abstract, or at least it has one of the most abstract concepts. And but it's also one that can be utilized in any part, whether you're sitting, standing, walking, whatever. Whenever you're awake, you can actually utilize this, and it's going to help you. So the third dual action is broaden the collarbones, okay, and then spread your shoulder blades wide. So, by the way, disclaimer, I am not being sponsored by this brand. It just, I needed something to keep me warm. My undergarment is holy, meaning like it literally has holes in it on purpose to make it look pretty, but that's a lot of air coming in and I'm chilly. So dual action number 3, again, broad, broad collarbones and wide shoulder blades. Why are we, so this is definitely an opposition. So I'm going to show you as close as I can, even if it says taking off my my head here. Okay, I won't get that close. So this is very abstract. No, at no time as us as humans think about taking our collarbones and moving them. We're like, well, that's not possible. Well, you have muscles there, you have tendons, right? Ligaments. So it's possible. What you're going to notice at the count of 3 is that my shoulders are going to kind of jut out to the opposite sides. Okay, here we go. So this is broadening your collarbones. 1, 2, 3. You probably saw it. Very subtle. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. So what's happening is I'm broadening the collarbones. What you're going to feel are this stretching out. So you're going to be a little sore, maybe even. And that's okay. We're always like this. So this is actually a really cool way to open up your chest. But why do I only, so if all I did though was broaden my collarbones, what did I just do? I went forward, which meant my back is no longer neutral. All right. We want a neutral spine whenever we're in any type of yoga pose. So only using the collarbone strengthening is not good because it's jutting out my chest. So now I'm going to turn towards you. Unfortunately, I'm going to have my back towards you. But you're going to now see the other. Okay. You want to take your shoulder blades opposite of each other, right? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'll do that again. And you probably saw it, but let me try it again. 1, 2, 3. So if all I did was take my shoulder blades out, That's not good because again, I'm going to go into protraction. All right. It's going to take me out of alignment. Again, I want a neutral spine. So with the two together, what's going to happen is I'm going to broaden my collarbones and I'm going to make sure that my shoulder blades go nice and wide and watch what happens. 1, 2, 3. So ever so slightly. Okay, let me try it again. 1, 2, 3. I now have a neutral spine. My shoulders are nice and wide, which means I have more of a base if in fact I'm in an inversion, and my spine is nice and straight, which means neutrality. This one is so good for your posture. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be because of yoga that you're using the dual action number 3, but you can think of it as an overall way to increase mobility. Okay, so that was fabulous. I love it. That's my favorite. I actually use it all the time, especially when I go for walks. Okay, perfect way to keep thinking of your posture. All right, so now we're on dual action number 4. So dual action number 4, okay, to me is more complementary, but Bri would probably say, I think again, that it's opposition. Just depends, right? Anyway, so I'm going to back up because I want you to hopefully still see my head. But this one is I like to call it the core dual action. So number 4, dual action is for your core. So you've always heard this about whenever we're in some type of movement, you always want to bring in your belly button. Very cool. So you're used to that. But a little twist on that one is that she likes to say that you want to draw the navel in and up. Okay. So that's a little different, right? But you can do that and feel it. But what's going to happen if all I did was take my belly button in and up? What happened? My bum, right, went out, which meant I'm not neutral. So while I'm helping a little bit, right, my core, I'm not neutral. So the opposing, okay, the opposing action is to then you want to knit your front ribs so they're together and down. So you want to think about them coming together. Okay, so you want to think about it's again, this one is kind of abstract, but you can feel it. So take your ribs down and together. If all I did though was just that without tightening my navel, again, I push my bum. So I want to stay neutral. So what I do is I put them together. So by virtue of me pulling in my navel and up and then knitting my ribs, okay, now you probably saw it. Now my my tailbone went down straight. So now I am in neutral. Okay, it's pretty cool. Now I have a big bum, so but again, if you only use one or the other, you're gonna protrude one way, right? We want neutrality. So navel in, up, and now your nips, your ribs knitted, and now I'm neutral. Okay, and I feel really strong, but it's amazing how much difference this will make, especially in, believe it or not, when you're planking. So think about this. Your pelvis is the heaviest part of your body if you're a female. Well, hello, there's reasons for that. And we want to protect it at all costs. So think about how much stronger you will be when you're in some type of, plank, whatever kind of plank, and you follow the instructions, navel in and up, and you knit those ribs, oh yeah, together and down. It makes a big difference because now your back is so neutral and you can your spine can handle the weight of your pelvis. Awesome. Alrighty, here we go. Here we go. Now we're on number 5. We're just going through these really quick because Cathy did it once already. All right, so dual action number 5. All right, So this one, definitely, um, our feet are really important. So, well, this one has something to do with our feet, but the last two are both having to do with our feet. So keep that in mind. I'm going to stand up once we're done with this one, but wanted to make sure that you keep in mind again, all these dual actions are simultaneously helping depending on what part of your body, right, you're thinking about, but they all happen at once. So unless you're not on your hands, then you're not going to use the dual hands, right? Action or the dual action of your hands. But whenever you are on your hands, which is a lot in yoga, right? A lot of the time, keep in mind all the other dual actions are working together. All right, so dual action, okay, number 5 is definitely something that I would consider opposing. And it is internally rotating, okay, and hugging in your inner thighs together. At the same time, you're going to firm your outer hips. So let me show you. Alrighty. So this is about your abductors. Okay. So your abductors are here. All right. So your inner thighs. And you want to, again, at all costs, protect the pelvis area. So if all I did though was draw in my inner thighs, woo, I go into an anterior tilt. I don't want that. That took me out of alignment. So we want to counter that. So we're going to firm up our outer thighs. But if all I did without engaging my inner thighs was firm up my outer hips, this is going to happen. Again, I'm not neutral, right? I'm jutting out again. So at the same time, I'm going to bring in my outer hips and I'm going to firm up my outer thighs and watch what happens. Whoa, did you see that? Oh, yeah, I'm feeling it. Inner thighs totally close together now, but you saw it. My tailbone came in alignment with my back. Now, again, I'm not totally straight. My back has more curves, but you get the idea and you can feel it. You can honestly feel it when you are very much using dual action number number 5. So this again is protecting the pelvis area and it will make any plank so much easier. Let me tell you, it's going to make a big difference. You're going to feel your pelvis elevate, i.e. you'll feel mula bandha. Cool. All right. So now we're moving on to number 6, dual action number 6. Okay. So dual action number 6. This one is cool. And again, this one and the last one deal with your feet. So um, your feet. Yes, I'm going to stand up. Feel free to follow me if you wish. So dual action number 6, okay, has to do with opposition. So you want to first draw your feet energetically together or towards each other, okay, and then you want to again hug your inner thighs together. So the easiest way, and you probably may or may not see my head, we'll see, but Warrior 2 is a perfect example of this. So whenever your feet are apart, okay, this is where this dual action comes in. So we want to remember, right, that we want to always feel mula bandha at any time. Well, when our feet are apart, we're obviously, right, unstable now, right? But when you think about your feet energetically coming together, even though they're nowhere near each other, whoa, you probably saw me. I wasn't trying, but when I brought my feet together, voila, I ended up with mula bandha. I came up. Well, guess what? Add that into the mix with your thighs. What's going to happen is if all I did was only do that, I have a good chance of coming forward, like sticking out, right? This way. And if all I did was keep my inner thighs, I'm going to have an anterior tilt. So when I do this together, I'm bringing my feet energetically together, and then at the same time, my inner thighs are coming in. Now, what happened was my mula bandha came up because my tailbone went down. And so now I can do whatever I want with my torso, but my lower body ain't going nowhere. You're a lot of power there. So this one, and let me be symmetric, right? So again, inner the inner thighs energetically coming together. And I felt my tailbone automatically tighten down or go down. And then your feet energetically coming together and Mula Bandha comes up. But now I have a firm base. I am protected. My knees, my hips, and my ankles. Again, not happening, nothing going on, but I am totally mobile on the top. That is fantastic. So that sixth dual action is about creating again the the strong feeling of connectedness, your hips, your knees, and your ankles. And now we're coming to the feet. So the dual action of your feet. So I'm going to actually just come forward. I'll put the so you can see the contrast of my feet. But here we go. Yep, you can see my feet. All right. So it's okay that you don't see my head. I want you to be on the same plane so your feet aren't one, higher than the other. Feel free to stand if you wish. And I want you to be hip width. So the easiest way to do this is to take two fists together, facing each other, and then push them down between your feet. That is approximately, believe it or not, the size of hip width. Now, hip width is here. Your hips are here, and the hip bones are here, not here. And so this is hip width, okay, approximately. Keep in mind that in traditional yoga, right, they want your big toes touching and a little space between your heels. Well, hello, that's great if you're a male and you have really narrow hips, but we're women, okay? So we want to give ourselves the gift of space and more ability to, again, give us that strong stance. So with that, now what I want you to do for the final dual action is look at your feet, okay? And think about, again, all four corners of your feet grounding, all right? Like think about nails going into the surface that they're on. Really feel all four corners sinking in to the surface. What you should feel is that your shins are really activated. All right, and that's awesome. And now we want the opposition because we want to get our back side engaged. We want our back, right, muscles to also engage in our legs. So with that, we want to go ahead now and lift our toes and spread them as best you can. Okay, spread, spread, spread. What that did, you should have felt now, not just your front of your legs, but you're now feeling the back of your legs, which is perfect. So now with that, keep your uh, toes spread, but push them down. Now you should still feel that not only were your shins involved, but the back of your calf muscles. So that engaged all of your post interior chain. I mean, quite literally, because you probably felt it a little bit in your lower back, but you felt all of your legs involved, in other words. This is the type of stance we want all the time. And this can save you in so many instances when you are out and about. Maybe you're standing in a line somewhere. Maybe, I'm trying to think of different times when your feet are just standing still. But this is remarkable for your balance more than anything else. Okay, so that was dual action number 7. You made it. You actually made it. And I appreciate your patience. Again, this was supposed to be done an hour ago, and that didn't happen because I somehow didn't have the the sound going correctly. But anyway, so the dual actions. This is awesome. And again, this is all credit to Bry Smith or Bryony Smith of Aligned Yoga. And I will make sure that you can find her in the, in the description. But yeah, that was fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And again, this is a clinic, so that meant no flow, but I want you to experience your first flow in the best way possible. And that means that I'd rather show you and instruct you on how to keep your body safe. So now you have mobility intelligence, right? You know how to protect your body, okay, in different situations. And this will make a big difference when you start wanting to create shapes. Okay, so these will happen once a month. Okay, there either be a clinic or a flow, but for the next 2 months, they are going to be clinics. They will happen the last month of the last day of every month. Okay, so with that, I want to thank you for your time and we'll see you soon. Take care, take charge, God bless.